So why are we failing miserably at love? Well, if we look at the work of Dr. Gabor Mate, one of the foremost experts in trauma in the world, he talks about the absence of love, the withdrawal of love, as the creator of trauma. And I know in the panel discussion there was mention of isolation. So trauma is created when you don't have that secure bonding, that validation. And what does trauma beget? It begets both macro and micro traumas. So the macro, things like despair, depression, grief, mental health conditions, abuse and neglect even, rage, violence, and on the global level, what is creating all the hatred in the world and all the armed conflicts and war. But it isn't just these macro traumas that are harming us. It is also the micro traumas. And the micro traumas are those everyday little connections or lack of connections. Are we living in an environment of love, cherishing, respect, and kindness? These are some of the basic foundation points of a loving relationship that I talk about in my book. Or are we living in a time of hatred, competition, disrespect, destructiveness? I won't even go into what's going on politically, but you know what I'm talking about, what environment we're living in now. So with these micro and macro traumas, then we also have the age of disconnection. Even though the internet has given us a worldwide connection, we're also losing the person-to-person, eye-to-eye contact, the warmth that we need. And there's scientific research that says when we are absent of those things, and when we go from eye-to-eye contact and holding to Zoom calls, to audio, to nothing, guess what comes along with that? Despair, depression, and even the lack of the will to live. We know this from babies who don't receive cuddling, holding, talking, eye-to-eye contact. They actually fail to thrive. They stop eating. Then the third piece of this is many of us are not living in proximity anymore to our original family or a community that we feel part of. So this brings us to, what is the lack of love? What is the impact on humanity? And I call this the dark side of love. So these statistics now are more on the global level and on our national level. We have 20% of couples assault each other, is the estimate. That's 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men. We have about 736 million women around the world who are abused. And 70% of children growing up in some kind of trauma in their home. That could be a micro trauma, not necessarily a macro trauma. The number of cases of child abuse and neglect reported in our country is over 500,000. And this statistic astounded me. I just found it recently. 31 to 120 countries are in war and armed conflict is the estimate, which is 1/4 to more than 1/2 of the world. So this situation may seem serious and may feel hopeless,